This episode is proudly sponsored by The Helix, a new innovation district located in New Brunswick, New Jersey, the heart of the Northeast Corridor. The Helix provides a critical ecosystem for innovation by offering a range of physical environments, a vibrant community of leading innovators, and a strategic central location on the Northeast Corridor. The Helix will uniquely mix workspaces, classrooms, laboratories, venues, and collaborative environments, creating a dynamic community and setting for innovative minds. Universities, startups, Fortune 500 companies, entrepreneurs, researchers, and many others will all call the Helix home. Thus far, the Helix has assembled a community of innovative private and public organizations, such as Rutgers Health, the New Jersey Innovation Hub, RWJ Barnabas Health, Hackensack Meridian Health, universities from Ireland and Israel, and others. The Helix is where ideas will come to life. To learn more, visit helixnj.com.
This Halloween,
mystery lurks around every corner.
Bundle up with Disney Plus and Hulu.
What are you scared of? The dark.
It's spine-tingling fun on Disney Plus with Haunted Mansion and Goosebumps.
I'm gonna need you to spread the word.
Then feel the bone-chilling terror on Hulu with The Boogeyman and American Horror Story Delicate.
Something's happening to me.
The Disney Bundle with Hulu and Disney Plus. All of these and more streaming this month. Plans starting at $9.99 a month. 18 plus only. Access content from each service separately. Offer valid for eligible subscribers only. Terms apply.
From NJ.com and the Star Ledger, welcome to the Rutgers Rant, your one-stop podcast for the Scarlet Knights, with your hosts Steve Politti and Rutgers insiders Brian Fonseca and Pat Lenny. Let's start shopping.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Rutgers Rant, our Picks Pod edition for the Indiana game. Rutgers heading out to beautiful Bloomington, Indiana to play the Hoosiers. All right, so last week, many people have pointed out that I correctly picked the score of the Rutgers-Michigan State game, but had them in the wrong order. And some people were poking me on the Twitter in the middle of many other things that I was getting poked at on Twitter. People were giving me give me the business there. I'm also going to point out, though, that is still what we call in the business a cover. For me, I am now 5-1-1. I'm in first place alone. I know this doesn't make anybody happy. I've been wrong with the wrong winner the last 2 weeks, fellas. But Vegas don't care. That's all I got to say about that.
As long as we're taking personal accountability. Last week, I roasted Luke Fickell for not kicking a field goal and covering the spread when he was doing that game-winning drive. I got to do it to Greg Schiano back. You have the ball. There's 7 minutes left. You're in field goal range. You got a field goal for the cover. You got an absolute two cannons of a leg in Jay Patel, Jude McAdamy. All you had to do was kick a nice little 35-yarder, seal the cover, remain undefeated against the spread. And he didn't do it. I got to say, shame on you, Greg Schiano. Sorry to do it, but we're an equal opportunity podcast here, so I got to take some medicine myself too.
There you go. So there. I don't feel great about being in first place. I don't. You guys are 7-0. What's it called? It's called straight up. Is that what the terminology is? It's also for people who, don't gamble. That's what that's called, straight up. But yeah. Sorry, you're chasing me. You're chasing me now.
The record that actually matters, that coaches actually care about.
The win, quote unquote, wins and losses is what they call that, but not here. Not for the point, not for the degenerate gamblers among us. All right. Indiana, I think, Brian, you correctly called this a can't lose game. The best way to put it, right? Explain your thoughts on why this is not a must win, but a can't lose. What's the difference?
I'm glad you brought this up because I promised this explanation last Thursday's pod and I just didn't do it. And I've been thinking about this a lot this week. So this is a great example because we're on the opposite ends of the spectrum depending on the team. This is a must win for Indiana. Indiana must win this game to salvage its season, to salvage Tom Allen's reputation, to keep its bowl hopes alive, to make sure the ship doesn't absolutely sink lower than the Titanic and everything goes completely off the rails. They must win this game. Rutgers, conversely, cannot lose this game. Indiana is in an absolute tailspin. You are on an upward trajectory. You're a win away from a bowl game. Everything gets harder from here, so this is your one really good chance of locking in that bowl game. And of all the positive momentum you've had, so much of it will stall if you lose to Indiana, which is an absolute dumpster fire. So it's a cannot lose. You cannot lose to Indiana, and Indiana must win against Rutgers. So a real battle, a real clash, the two dichotomies of college football right here. I'm fired up just talking about it. Should be a great game.
Pat, you agree?
Absolutely, I agree. You just look at last week, the way
things turned around and the way Rutgers rallied in that game, felt like they knew that it was a must-win game. The season flashed before their eyes. They salvaged that situation, and now they're going to go into Indiana, and everyone knows what's at stake. That was Shiano's quote. They're not oblivious. They know 6 wins will clinch them a bowl game. They know what's in front of them, and the opportunity is there for the taking. They're a better team than Indiana, point blank, and they just got to prove it. So I completely agree with Brian's take. Just say, can't lose this one.
It is amazing. Rutgers is a better team than Indiana now. But I looked this up. I didn't realize this, but Indiana has won 5 of the 9 games in this series, which to me, really, that was when this became like a 4-alarm fire for Rutgers program-wise. When Indiana had outpaced you, when you're losing 41-0 in Bloomington, the worst, and still what remains the one time in my life I wanted to jump out of a press box window during the lightning delay in Bloomington, Indiana. I still get flashbacks to that one. But I mean, that just goes to show you, I mean, that's where that program was. They were a legit like top 10. They finished number 12 in the AP in 2020. I looked it up. They are just 8-21 since then. The program has just completely fallen off the cliff. You know, Michael Penix, the quarterback for that team, is now Washington, a Heisman Trophy. That kind of what happens. You know, they just lost 52-7 to Michigan, rotating quarterbacks, Tom Allen on the hot seat. It is pretty much a disaster.
Yeah, that's a great example of what a generational quarterback who can win a Heisman and a great offensive coordinator who I believe is now the head coach at Washington, Kalen DeBoer. Those guys were together in that 2020 season. They were a big reason Indiana was so good. So all you need in college football to be good is one of the greatest quarterbacks in the country and a generational, young, up-and-coming offensive coordinator. It's not that hard, guys. It really isn't.
That's it. That's all you need.
To your point, like I tried to get Greg to talk about this, and he didn't because it's a one-game season. Indiana and Rutgers have been battling somewhat at the bottom of the Big Ten East during the 10 years that it's existed. And to your point, I think for Rutgers to establish itself above last place in the hierarchy of the division, you got to beat Indiana. You got to be above Indiana. If Rutgers doesn't beat Indiana on Saturday, they will finish the Big Ten East era with a losing record against every team in the division. This is the only chance they have to salvage a 500 record against anybody. And considering how bad they were during the worst parts of it, like that's a pretty big achievement. You could also go 4-6 against Maryland, but I think that's a bit deceiving because Maryland was a lot better than Rutgers for a lot of the time they were together in the division. But anyway, I think there's a lot more at stake besides the bowl game. It's to show that you are not the worst team in the Big Ten East, that you have surpassed Indiana, and that you're in a upward trajectory. And honestly, that Indiana success that you mentioned was fool's gold, but you got to prove it on the field. They've won 2 in a row against them under Shiano. You really got to hammer it home and make it 3 in a row.
All right. So without going too deep into the weeds here on what's going on in Indiana, Pat, Tom Allen is rotating quarterbacks. That never works, as we've learned here. Fired his offensive coordinator. See, it feels like this is 2022 Rutgers playing out in Bloomington. Is that correct?
I was just going to say that if you look at what Indiana is right now, just flash back to last season at Rutgers, they're going through a lot of the same issues. Their offense is bottom 5 in the country in almost every offensive category. They're really struggling to move the ball. The defense, like Rutgers last year, isn't all that awful. The statistics aren't great, but they do have some good players, a pretty decent front 7, but the way that they're rotating quarterbacks is a very familiar storyline. Firing the offensive coordinator to hope spark the offense is a very familiar storyline. It's very interesting when you look at it and the parallels, but Indiana's been stuck in this rut the last couple seasons, whereas Rutgers was able to bring in Kirk Shiraka as offensive coordinator and solve a little bit of its offensive struggles, and that's why you're seeing this little resurgence for Rutgers. So yeah, I think when you look at Indiana, you can just think back to last season, and all the worst aspects of Rutgers that unfolded is what's unfolding in Bloomington.
And they've got an interesting decision now. So Tim Allen, that's someone else. Tom Allen has a $20 million buyout in his contract. I just read Greg Doyle, the columnist, Indianapolis Star, wrote about this and the decision. They're obviously, Indiana doesn't care enough about football to eat that much money. But next year is down to $8 million. So they're in this weird situation where, the program's just kind of float along, I guess, until they can get the money to make the change. I wonder that the same situation out there, if they're struggling for NIL money. I mean, it just seems like this is a historically bad program in a spot where it's about to get historically bad.
That said, you mentioned it. The defense isn't that terrible. They led Michigan 7-0 until that kind of fell apart as games. I wouldn't put that under scares. We debate what's a scare in college football. That certainly was not a scare.
That feels like a Rutgers familiarity as well, right?
Yeah.
Taking an early lead at Michigan.
Yeah. This is just the game where Rutgers has to come out and punch Indiana in the face early and just take this one and take it easily. And it's establishing things on offense. It's getting the running game going. It's doing what Rutgers wants to do. It just can't. The thing that cannot happen. This can't be a field goal touchdown kind of margin in the fourth quarter. That's how I would look at this one. You guys agree?
So there's a guy on Twitter. His name is Stats of War. He breaks down every college football game in like very hyper specific analytical things. We don't have to get into the weeds here. What you need to know is that blue is good and red is bad. If you look at the Rutgers Indiana graphic, Indiana is almost entirely red. They are god awful at quite literally everything when you look at the advanced analytics, which obviously don't win football games, but it's a picture to show that this is a Chris Ash-esque team. And what did good teams do against Chris Ash-esque teams? They beat the ever-living life out of them. That's what Rutgers needs to do against Indiana. They need to just absolutely demolish them. I have to think that these guys are at a point in the season where any little bit of adversity will absolutely make them crumble, make them think, why am I doing this in the first place? That's what Rutgers needs to do to Indiana. Basically, take away their soul, take away their will to compete, and kind of run away with this.
Of course, Pat, we thought that was the case with Michigan State, and they were up 24-6. Did we not?
Brian is like how do I put this properly? He's a hyperbolic guy. Like it's all in with this guy. Like
you're just now reaching that conclusion.
I really, it's taken me a while to get to this conclusion, but like Brian is one way or the other, and there's nothing in between. I can see like why the spread is only 5.5 in this game. I'm not ready to be like, this is a Chris Ash era team at Indiana. I don't think they're that bad, but the bottom line is Rutgers, the good teams establish their identity early on against lesser opponents. You're 100% right that that's what they have to do. Rutgers has to be able to just show that this is to put its strength out in front of everybody. Establish the run early, shut down defense, get a couple turnovers, and put this one away at halftime. The opposite of what we saw last week against Michigan State.
Brian's Yelp page would be like, either it's the greatest meal he's ever had, or this, I wouldn't feed this to my dog's worst enemy. That's like, there's two levels of when he's going restaurant reviews. It's great.
Yeah.
That's why we love you, though.
I'm a very passionate guy.
Yeah.
Very passionate, very strongly opinionated man. I mean, that's what we do in this business. We're take
You're
artists.
red or blue. You're red or blue. Like,
You are red or blue.
you're red or blue. You love the
gray.
graphic. You are the red or blue guy.
There's no purple. Is that the combination of red or blue?
Yeah.
Not very much of an artistic guy. We went pumpkin carving last night. You should have seen my pumpkin. It was
You went pumpkin carving?
I did. There's a annual pumpkin carving contest at the Asbury Ale House. I went out and I carved maybe the most basic pumpkin. The how do I say this? The Rutgers offense of pumpkins, just very vanilla, very it gets the job done. Pumpkin.
Did you have teeth in the pumpkin, or is it a smiling pumpkin, a happy pumpkin?
Yes. It looked like it was
pumpkin.
It looked like it was smiling. At least that's what I was trying to do. I was smiling making it, which is all that matters.
Okay, you're gonna need to text me a photo of the pumpkin. Did you take a photo of the pumpkin?
I didn't, but I just realized it's in the trunk of my car, so I better get it after this podcast so my car doesn't smell like a rotten pumpkin for the next 3 months. So
I will get the pumpkin out. I'm gonna tweet the picture of the pumpkin. I want to see that. Now I'm very curious. Now it's been rolling around the back in the trunk of your car for the last.
The Kirk Shiraka pumpkin.
The Shiraka pumpkin. Put a headset on that sucker. That's great. It's really nice.
While we're talking about this, I actually do have a question. Like, I'm not sure if you guys have gone pumpkin carving before. I had no game plan going into this. So apparently you're supposed to carve it from the bottom and not the top. That's the newfangled pumpkin strategy. Yeah, that's what the analytics guys are now saying about pumpkins. That's an old school pumpkin carver. You go right to the top of that thing. There's there's a handle on that for a reason, right? I don't care what today's fancy stat guys are saying about carving pumpkins. You got to get in there. And you don't have your kids aren't old enough yet. Well, let me tell you, you're going to carve some pumpkins, man.
And the thing you have to remember is you're not the one you're the one that's scraping out the goo inside. That's the father's job. That's what the man in the house does. Scrapes out the goo inside that pumpkin.
Wait, so Brian, are you saying you cut the hole in the bottom so that all the goo just comes straight out? You let gravity do the work?
That was the idea of this air raid version of carving a pumpkin. I should have went with the meat and potatoes, ground and pound over the top. But you'd think that you just hold it up by the root and it'd all fall out. That thing was all stuck. They gave us scrapers, so I had to go in there and manually scrape out all the seeds, which is so many of them. I would not believe, and we should have saved them, roasted the seeds or whatever, but we didn't. Just put them in a giant white bucket and sent it over. But yes, that was the idea. Didn't really work out that way.
Listen, you're going to be 1-0 at the end of this pumpkin season, and that's all that matters.
They picked the top 10 pumpkins, and my pumpkin was not even. They looked at it for maybe 0.5 seconds, and they said, "All right, we gotta move on from this." So I think I went 0-1, unfortunately.
You didn't chop the pumpkin.
I didn't chop the pumpkin. I chopped the pumpkin in the wrong way, unfortunately.
What were we talking about? Oh, Rutgers, Indiana. That's right. Should we make the pick? Do you want to just
we could just talk about pumpkins for another 30 minutes if you want.
We could. I mean, I could go deep on this, but I think you've gone as far as I could possibly go. All right, let's pick Rutgers, Indiana. We got Rutgers -5.5. Wow. That's interesting. Huh. That seems closer than it needed to be. All right, so I'm in the lead. I go first, right? Is that how that works? I haven't been in the league. Haven't been in the lead in so long. I've kind of forgot how this works. All right. So as I say, I'm a little surprised. Part of me wonders what Vegas knows that I don't know. But as Pat eloquently wrote this week, the Scarlet Knights have a terrific defense. Indiana has a bad offense. The motivation is all on the Scarlet Knights side of this. The Rutgers has won back-to-back games in this series, 38-3 just a couple years ago. I don't see this being close, and I'm a little surprised the line is where it is, and I hate that. I always feel like I'm the one who doesn't know what's going on, but I don't think it's going to be quite as wide a margin as it was in the last few years, but I really do think that Rutgers is going to win this game, win it by a couple touchdowns. I'm going to go Rutgers 24, Indiana 10 to maintain my lead in the standings. You guys decide who goes next. It's irrelevant to me. I'm not looking back
next because I know Brian's going to drop some absolutely crazy take of just how terrible Indiana is. So let me be the middle guy here. I will say this: after analyzing the defense and looking at the numbers, I'm ready to say that Rutgers defense is legit a top 15, if not top 10 defense in the country.
Wow.
The numbers are that glaring, and it's not like they're playing 7 Wagners, right? They did play Michigan, held Michigan to its lowest total of the season. It played well against Wisconsin with Tanner Mordecai. I just think that the defense is really good, and it's going to have that signature moment against an Indiana team that's really struggling offensively. So I predicted a shutout against Northwestern. It should have happened. I'm going to say that the dark side gets it shut out in this game.
Wow. And
the offense does what it needs to do and wins 28-0.
Wow. Okay. Bold. All right.
Bold is for the brave.
Brian?
We're talking about hyperbolic, and you're saying Rutgers has a top 10 defense?
That is a good comeback right there. That is, yeah, absolutely.
I don't even necessarily disagree. I'm just saying. Or I heard trading some wild takes. I'll keep my numbers short and sweet. I looked at the numbers. I watched the film. I have one evaluation of Indiana. They stink. They stink out loud. They are a bad football team. They are not good at football. Rutgers, from what I could tell, is not bad at football. Some would even say good. So to that end, I think Rutgers goes into Bloomington, has a pretty lunch pail kind of day, does its job, walks out with a 31-7 win over the Hoosiers. Bowl eligibility stamped, and then we could spend the rest of the week, the bye week, planning out our trip to Las Vegas, fellas.
Las Vegas. All right. Before we go on there, you've got to explain why you think we're not going to be planning our trip to the open-air press box at Yankee Stadium in 14-degree weather at the Pinstripe Bowl. Tell me why. Give me hope for Vegas.
Well, pure optimism on my part. That's majority of why I'm saying this. And also,
you should call some Bowl Scouts. Come on, call some Bowl Scouts. Get some information here.
Well, I looked at the way this is all kind of, it's all very complicated, as you can imagine. And a lot of this depends on how other teams do. I think if you want to go to the Pinstripe Bowl, if that's your dream, if that's what you hope to see Politi freezing his ass off in the press box of the Yankee Stadium, you better hope that Minnesota makes it to 6 wins. Minnesota played in it last year, so they can't play in it again this year because you have to cycle through them every 3 years or something to that effect. I have it written down in a story this week. So if there's no Minnesota, that's one less team to go to the Pinstripe Bowl. That's one more opportunity for Rutgers to go. If you want to go to Vegas or Nashville, I can't quite remember. But Iowa and Wisconsin are excluded each from Nashville, Vegas, and another one, Phoenix maybe. They're both going to get to 6 wins. So that's good. My point is that it depends, one, how many wins Rutgers gets. If Rutgers gets 7 wins, they're probably going to avoid the Pinstripe Bowl, I think. And it depends on how other teams do as well. So it's probably a little too early to be figuring out which bowls they're going to, but the ones that we've mentioned before, Vegas, Phoenix, Quick Lane Bowl, Pinstripe Bowl, Music City Bowl, those 5 are probably the most likely, barring an 8-4, 9-3 season where they end up going to the Citrus Bowl, which I know I'm optimistically about Rutgers. I'm not quite sure we're ready to go there just yet.
I'll add this, that every week we've been following what the experts are saying where Rutgers is going to land in the bowl game. And it started off with like some wild card games. The Gasparilla Bowl was one there for a hot second. Then Guaranteed Rate Bowl, which is the one in Phoenix. Las Vegas Bowl has popped up a bunch. But every week it just gets more narrow and more narrow that everyone's projecting the Pinstripe Bowl. I really think that we should be planning our trip to the Bronx, to be honest.
We don't have to plan the trip to the Bronx.
Right.
We'll just go to the Bronx. Yeah. I can get my parka and my mittens, pound out that 5 observations with my mittens on. Be great stuff. All right. Well,
or Christmas present exchange at the Pinstripe Bowl.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
Asking car pumpkins this week in Bloomington, and we'll do it's great. All right, good picks. No, you guys, I can't believe you guys don't want to try to catch me. I'll be in the league when we start next week. You'll only have 4 games to catch me. That's fine. That's good. We'll see what happens then. I like it. I like the view from the top.
The Helix is coming. That's right. Ground is broken, foundations are being laid, and the plans are being realized. For those that have not yet heard, the Helix is a new innovation district in New Brunswick, New Jersey. Smack dab in the middle of the Northeast Corridor, the Helix is a place for innovators to gather and innovation to take action. It offers a range of physical environments, a vibrant innovation community, and a strategic central location in close proximity to New York, Philly, Boston, and D.C. The Helix will uniquely mix workspaces, classrooms, laboratories, venues, and collaborative environments, creating a dynamic community and setting for innovative minds. Universities, startups, Fortune 500 companies, entrepreneurs, researchers, and many others are already signing up to call the Helix home. Thus far, the Helix has assembled a community of innovative private and public organizations such as Rutgers Health, the New Jersey Innovation Hub, RWJ Barnabas Health, Hackensack Meridian Health, universities from Ireland and Israel, and others. The Helix is coming. Visit helixnj.com to learn more.
All right. Alumni game. Boomer Zoomer, you ready? You want to play? Let's play. All right. So we had an official protest last week. Apparently, someone either is a big fan of Tom Sizemore or is fact-checking the alumni game. 2 things that I can't decide which one is weirder. Either way, I guess Tom Sizemore did not graduate from Michigan State. He attended for a year. So now not only do I have, because you protested, Brian, not only do I now have to just Google the 100 famous alumni from a school, I've got to then put the name into the Wikipedia to make sure that and just for that, it's going to get harder. That's what you get for protest.
Well, now you also have to give me a public apology on the podcast for misleading and deceiving me, and also for throwing the integrity of the alumni game into question, because now how do I know that every other alumni game the Wisconsin alumni game didn't have graduates from Marquette? I mean, we have no rules here apparently. So I think every result should be reversed, frankly, and I should be crowned the greatest alumni game player of all time. That's what I believe.
Pat, your thoughts on this bold statement?
I mean, you got to do better research. That's what it comes. We ask the experts at practice every week for words. Mm-hmm. We come prepared. Meanwhile, you're out here throwing false info. It's like you have a Finsta out there.
Well, I'm just going to say this. Because of this protest, I will say this, that Indiana graduate Jeff Sagarin is not included in the alumni game this week. It would have been had you not been so picky about things being quote unquote correct in the alumni game. That's all I'm going to say.
Heaven forbid I want things to be quote unquote accurate and quote unquote fair.
Just know that that's the reason. It's going to be a little harder.
Okay.
All right. You ready?
As ready as I'll ever be.
Pat, you're going to put it that, I think this is either very easy or very hard. I can't decide. Going to put it at 5.5.
Yeah. You know what? This is the week to go over.
Oh, look at that little tease there. Good stuff. For 1 point, can you tell me who Indiana alum Kevin Kline is? Kevin Kline. It's a 1-pointer.
Kevin Kline?
A very famous person.
I know. I know the name.
Oh,
He's not related to Calvin, I imagine.
I don't know. I have to Google that. I don't think so, but they're spelled differently, so probably not. It's Kline.
Kline?
Yeah.
Kevin Kline. Is he an actor?
He is an actor. Yes.
James Bond? No.
No. A little different than James Bond. No.
Indiana Jones? No, that's
Harrison Jones. No. All right, we're not giving you this. I'm going to give you an X on Kevin Kline because I needed to hear. You're going to say, if you said actor and you said maybe comedic actor, you gave me something, and then I might have been generous enough. But no, Indiana Jones. That's not close. He was in the movie Dave, Wild Wild West, Fish Called Wanda, character actor, many roles.
Number one.
What?
That's
a hard number one.
I agree. I'm even more confused now. You tell me where
number one. If you Google those stupid lists, the famous people from Indiana, it's number one. It's number one.
When was he active?
He's still active.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
His big movies are in the 90s, I guess.
Wild Wild West, I remember. Yeah, Will Smith. He was opposite Will Smith. Fish Called Wanda. That's a great movie. Dave. He was the president of the United States. And Dave. All right, never mind. Okay, you just blew it.
This is me. This is my fault for being culturally ignorant. It's not your fault for picking a hard. I will take. Unlike you for fudging the game last week, I will take responsibility for my actions.
Called the non-apology apology. I like it. All right, good. Okay, fine. Take responsibility. You're wrong. All right, you can recover though. I think the next either you don't. I don't know. You didn't get Kevin Kline. What am I talking about? All right, number 2 for 2 points. Can you tell me who Mark Spitz is?
I was really hoping you were going to say Mark Cuban because that would be very easy. Mark
He's
Spitz,
an Indiana grad too, right?
He is. He's a big booster from what I understand too. Actually, I don't think he could be a booster because he's an NBA owner. That's besides the point. Mark Spitz is Michael Phelps before Michael Phelps, the Olympic swimmer who won a lot of gold medals for the United States of America.
Nice job. 9-time Olympic champ. Good job. All right.
Nice job.
Boom.
Okay. For 3 points. Can you tell me who Jared Fogle is? Indiana graduate Jared Fogle.
Jared Fogle got famous in Indiana as a student because he ate a lot of Subway and lost a lot of weight doing so. And he remained famous long after that for things I don't want to describe on this podcast.
There you go. So that's nice. That's good. Good job. That's 3 points. 3 points. Me and what? 5? He's up to 5. Me and Mike Garofolo. When Mike Garofolo, before we went to the NFL Network, worked at our company, we interviewed Jared Fogle at the Super Bowl. And so there's a video of me, famous person Mike Garofolo, interviewing Jared Fogle at Super Bowl row. So every time when that scandal broke, we're like, should we delete this interview? I was like, no, how could we know?
You didn't get a vibe from him? A weird dude?
No, didn't. I mean, weird dude. Yeah, I didn't get going to prison vibe. All right, number 4, 4 points. A little harder. Still famous person. Can you tell me who Jane Pauley is?
Jane Pauley. She's not on the Jersey Shore, I believe.
No, that's different Pauley.
That's DJ Pauley. Is she a singer?
She's not a singer. No, incorrect. Sorry. Longtime host of the Today Show, Jane Pauley.
Would not have gotten it. You looked so excited when I started saying, "Is she?" Like you were like, "Oh my God, is he going to get it?"
He's got to get it. Yeah. All right, this one is easy and tough. This one is a very. I put it at number 5 because if I showed you the picture of this person, you would know immediately who it is. The name, however, is kind of a bland name, so I don't know. Here we go for 5 points and the win. Can you tell me who Indiana alum Jonathan Banks is?
Of course I know who Jonathan Banks is. He's a guy in Breaking Bad. He's a guy in Better Call Saul. He's what's his name?
Yes.
I can't remember his character. I can't remember the name.
Mike
Erbintrout. Yes. Of course.
Oh, there you go.
The most famous scowl in television history. Just like that corner of his lip lifted up.
It's good. That was a good comeback, right, Pat? I did not think, and he knew exactly who it was. Didn't say, is he an actor?
Actor.
Nailed it, baby.
Good job. You nailed it. Congratulations. That was a well-deserved win. Indiana week. You 1-0 Indiana season.
The Indiana alums are as easy as the Indiana football team, baby. Let's go.
That's beautiful.
What I just did to the Indiana alumni game is what Rutgers football should do to the Indiana football team at Memorial Stadium on Saturday. Wow. I set the bar pretty high, just saying.
10 points might be a season high.
Could be. I don't think he's ever got the fifth. I don't think he's ever got the 5.1.
Easily the first time I broke in double digits.
Yeah, it's good. Good week. All right. What do you got for me? I'm ready for my Zoomer punishment.
You want to go first, Pat, or you want me to go first?
Boomer
sure,
crap.
because I think my word is pretty easy, and I'm not even sure that it's millennial because it has been around since I was coming of age. So the word is stan.
Yeah, no, I know what a stan is. Like you're like a big fan of something. I'm a huge Bruce stan, right? Isn't that what it is?
That's right. Yeah. That's right. That's right. That's right.
It's easy. Everything's easy. The game's easy. The alumni.
Keep the trend going.
That's good. All right. Okay. What's yours?
Good job. Nailed that.
Yeah. Good job. Not good job by me. I gotta look up because that was my word as well, and we did not communicate.
Let's talk about. Give me crap about not planning the podcast. Look at that amateur hour over here.
I think. Mm-hmm. We have not used this one.
Okay.
It's again in the theme of Indiana. It's pretty easy. I found this within 10 seconds of research. Okay. Do you know what it means to ghost someone? Ghosting.
Sure. When you just don't reply to texts, or you break up with somebody, you just don't. You completely ignore. You just go away. You ghost them.
Yes. Nice job. Too easy.
There you go. Too easy. Very easy. God, easy. That's good. All right.
Can you stand in a sentence the way the Zoomers use it?
The way the Zoomers, no, I can't. I got nothing. How do you use it in a sentence?
We stand this.
Oh, we stand it. You verb it. I see.
You verbalize. Yes.
You can see. Yeah, I'm a total. I thought it was more of a noun. Like I'm a total Swift stan.
Swifty.
That's a Swifty. There's something.
There's a term for that. Rises to the level of stalkerish.
Gotcha. All right.
From what I've read.
From what you understood. Okay. All right. Good job. What else we got? In field hockey, we got a road trip. You're not coming, Brian. It's gonna be me and Pat out there in beautiful Indianapolis, perhaps having a steak of some kind.
And the Colts are home, so I heard it's going to be a hopping.
The Colts are home. Wow.
Colts are home, so it's going to be a hopping weekend in Indianapolis.
Good stuff. All right.
I'm going to miss you guys. I'm going to be very sad when you guys send me photos of your shrimp cocktail at St. Elmo's if you go there, or your burgers at Nick's English Hut in Bloomington if you go there. A lot of good choices in Indiana. I'll be sad to miss. I've never
stayed in Bloomington. I've always stayed in Indianapolis, so but I don't know what that town's like at all.
It's very nice. I went there for the hoops game a couple of years ago, walked around. Like I said, I had Nick's English Hut, which is an institution there. Mm-hmm. Very good stuff. I would recommend it to you guys. Candy stripe pants all over the place, which is the greatest warm-up pants in college sports. Some people disagree with me. Neither here nor there. But I will be at Aquista's in Queens on Saturday, apparently a popular restaurant for Rick Pitino, our friend of the podcast, Fooch. Talked about it incessantly whenever I bring up the St. John's trip. So I will be going to Aquista's after the game. The game being the Rutgers basketball scrimmage against St. John's at Carnesecca Arena at 2:00 at the same time as the football game. It will not be streamed. It will not be televised. You got to pay your way to get in. Go to Queens. All the money goes to the V Foundation, Dickie V, all that good stuff. So looking forward to seeing my first real look at how Rutgers looks against another team.
Is Aquista's Italian for Cheesecake Factory? Because that's the only restaurant Fooch has ever eaten with me on the road. Just going to point that out. All right, what do we expect from this game? St. John's is pretty good. This should be a good test. Patino is kind of being coy. If we get blown out by Rutgers, you'll know we're bad. What do you think? What do you think this is going to be?
these scrimmages are always kind of experimental. I think Rick Pitino even said he's kind of throwing out different lineups and different combinations to test things out. I'm sure Steve Peichel will do the same. I'll be looking at things that you can't really, like, are they shooting the ball well? I think that's something you can measure no matter who's in the game. Are they passing the ball well? Are they playing fast? I don't know if that's going to be a situational thing. I'm not going to take, one big conclusion off of one scrimmage there, but just, how do individual players look? How does Gavin Griffiths look? Does he look ready to play in a college basketball game against, grown men that St. John's has? Like, the entire roster is like second, third year, fourth year guys. How does he handle that? How does Cliff O'Morey look? Is he able to widen his shooting range? I think there's just a lot to, you can't take any big picture conclusions, but I think it'll be an opportunity to see where they are with a couple weeks left in the season and maybe recalibrate expectations. I do think that the consensus bottom 5 team in the Big Ten, 10th, 9th, 11th, that to me, until I see something drastically different that would make me change my opinion, I think that's really where Rutgers is going to end up at best, on the fringes of the NCAA tournament.
Okay. Wow.
How about a big man showdown, Joel Soriano versus Cliff O'Morey? 2 potential best big men in the country going at it in the paint.
It's very good. Very good. Joel Soriano apparently has lost a lot of weight, and Cliff O'Morey looks bigger and bigger every time we see him. He's probably about 100 pounds of pure muscle at this point. So, yeah, that's a good call.
Nice. All right. So you get a rush back from Queens to go to the field hockey game. Are they called game? Yeah, field hockey game of the century. Number 1 Northwestern coming to Piscataway. All of the tradition of Northwestern field hockey. I'm Googling it as I'm talking. All of the glory, the biggest opportunity to go undefeated Scarlet Knights. You coming back to cover that?
Going to be rushing back from Indiana is the question, Steve.
The game's on Sunday.
Oh, you're also coming back. The game's on Sunday, right?
Yeah, the game's on Sunday.
Oh, so you'll get them out. So you'll have Saturday, all day Saturday to prepare. Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly.
Joke, but this is like legit. This will be the biggest game of the fall on campus, and for 2 ranked teams.
Absolutely. There's no question.
Assuming they win Friday.
Oh, that's right. Who do they play Friday again?
Indiana, right?
No. Well,
got to beat Indiana.
Indiana can't be any good at field hockey, can they?
There's no advanced analytics. I don't know if they're all red or blue. They're not ranked. So my
it's up. Indiana field hockey. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm
pretty sure they stink. That's my evaluation. Rutgers has beaten them, I think, 8 of the last 9 times they've played. Something to that effect. It's in the game notes.
Well, that's all you need to know. Yeah, they stink. They're 5-10 overall, so this should be 0-5 in the Big Ten. Oh yeah, so this should be just a tune-up.
Correct. In theory, it should be the game that sets up a warm-up game for the big one against Northwestern on Sunday. Yes. Right. And if Rutgers wins both, they will win at least a share of the Big Ten regular season title.
Wow.
Which is a big deal.
I mean, they just lost to Ball State field hockey. Come on. All right. I'm sorry. Ooh. Yes, share of the. We're just all over the place in this podcast. Let's talk more about your pumpkin before we go.
What do you want to know about it?
Are you going to display it? Is there like a place where you can like put a candle in that and get trick or treaters at your apartment?
There's no real way for trick or treaters to come in.
Yeah.
Gotta need a key fob to get into my building, and I'm not inviting children to get candy from my apartment. So I think we're good there, but I can put it on my desk somewhere. I could put it in my living room. I could put it wherever I'd like. I just don't know where I'm gonna put it and for how long. Like, what do you do with it after? Is my question. Do I just dump it in the trash can? Like,
yeah, you just throw it away. Yeah, or if you have a composter at your apartment in New Brunswick, you can put it out there, and it will, rot itself away.
Feed it to a hippopotamus because they love pumpkins.
Interesting. What are the nearest hippopotamus to me?
Bronx Zoo. You're going to Queens.
There you go. Feed the hippopotamuses.
Here in suburbia, we've got you can't just put a couple of things out in your lawn to decorate. It's like a heated neighborhood battle to see who can put more Halloween related crap onto their front lawns here. Let me tell you, it's tough. We got ghosts, we've got howling dogs. You push a button and this thing jumps out at you. It's crazy, the number of stuff. You go to that Spirit Halloween store. It's not just for costumes. It's for weekend warrior suburban dads to buy crap to put out on the lawn. That's what that place is for.
Are your children dressing up, Steve?
Oh, yes, we do. So this is good. We've got 2 costumes going. My son, who's just on the borderline of being able to do this anymore, is going to be the bomb bird from Angry Birds. I don't know where this came from. It seems kind of dated. My daughter, this is great. My daughter is being Loki from the Loki show, but only she's being Loki for president, I guess, in one of the many worlds that we watched this show together. And I just have no idea what's going on. Apparently, in one of the worlds that Loki was in, he was in a green blazer with a button that says Loki for president. That's who my daughter's going to be. Pretty specific costumes this year.
Nice.
Yeah, no ghosts. We've got no ghosts or Batman or Superman or Elsa here.
What about you, Steve?
Yeah, I'm probably not going to dress up, Brian. I'm 50 years old.
It's never too late. What about you, Pat? You dressing up?
No, not this year. But we got Juliet dressed up as a lobster for her.
Oh, that's nice. It's nice. Oh, beautiful. Great. You, Brian, you gotta New Brunswick is a big scene. You're gonna go out on Halloween?
I might go out on Halloween. I haven't thought about. I always wait till the week of Halloween to actually start thinking, and then I say the next year I'm going to take notes throughout the year of all the ideas I have, and then we get back to Halloween and I have nothing. So I might just go with my go-to. I've worn this maybe 7 out of the last 10 years. A lumberjack. I put a flannel. I get an axe. Maybe do some chopping and go from there. So we'll see.
All right, bring your pumpkin with you. All right, that's all we got this week, folks. Thanks for listening to our babble. Hope you had some fun with it. We'll be back after the Indiana game to either talk about a bowl or to talk about the worst thing that's ever happened in hyperbolic Brian Fonseca terms. Thanks. See you then.
Thank you for listening to the Rutgers Rant. To participate in the conversation and receive live updates about the Scarlet Knights directly to your phone, sign up at NJ.com/insider.